Buonasera a tutti quanti. Welcome everyone to the Italian Heritage Committee's series of Cooking with Chefs, Enjoying Italian Cooking. As many of you know, the Toronto District School Board recognizes Italian Heritage Month in June. And before we begin, we'll begin with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are hosted on the lands of the Mississauga of Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Riconosciamo di essere ospiti nella terra dei Anishinaabe, della Confederazione Haudenosaunee e di Wendat. Riconosciamo anche la continua presenza di tutte le prime nazioni, Métis e popolo Inuit. Welcome, my name is Suzanne Borselli and I'm the proud principal at Beverly Glen Junior School and also a member of Toronto District School Board's Italian Heritage Committee. This evening, I have Chef Gianni Ceschia with me this evening. Gianni was born and raised in Northern Italy in the area of Friuli. And since arriving in Canada in 1979, he's held many executive chef and chef positions in several restaurants in the GTA, and he has received numerous awards and honors that he continues to receive today. Chef Ceschia is passionate about cooking and enjoys sharing his love of food with all. And he's extremely sought after for his ready-cooked meals. This evening, Chef Ceschia will inspire us to cook Italian by leading us in two wonderful, authentic Italian recipes based on gnocchi. Without further ado, Chef Ceschia.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for having me. And good evening, everyone. And as Suzanne mentioned, we're going to do gnocchi. So we prepare the basic dough for gnocchi, and then we're going to diversify. One we do like medallion stuffed with spinach and meat. And then the other gnocchi, instead of using with sauce, like a meat sauce or tomato sauce, we do a sauce with radicchio, saffron, and a little bit of cream. So those are the two recipe we prepare. Instead the medallion stuffed with the meat we do with tomato sauce, and the other, again, like I just said, radicchio and saffron. So I'll start first of all to prepare the meat to stuff our gnocchi. I'm sure you guys have all the ingredients in front of you and you follow my steps here. So by the end of this session, you will have a nice plate of gnocchi or offerta triestina, so you have a nice dinner, maybe also a nice glass of wine. So I have some butter here on my frying pan, and I have to add the onion, a little chopped. So I will saute the onion. And you fry the onion till it's translucent, because when you saute some onion, then the onion becomes sweeter and not sharp. And also by using butter, you have to be careful with the temperature, because butter is burning before the oil. If you use oil absorb higher temperature. Butter instead it's fat and it can burn. So you have to keep it on medium. You stove, and when you see that the onion is becoming translucent, then we're going to add the sausage and the minced meat. And I did add, you can see, I have some water, because when you have to saute either sausage or even meat and you want to crumble, so I suggest to incorporate some water, then you put it in, the water heats, the steam will evaporate, and it's easier for you to saute the meat. Otherwise, the meat is too dry, but even the sausage, then you have hard time to crumble, you have to bang it. So now, see, the onion starts to be nice and translucent. So now we go with the sausage. And then we'll put also the meat. Then we're going to pass this meat through the food processor with some spinach. We're going to add an egg, some grated cheese, and salt and pepper. And we prepare the stuffing for our medallion or oppelle triestina. Trieste is a city in Friuli, is the northeast corner of Italy, and Trieste is right at the end of the Gulf of the Adriatic Sea and bordering with Croatia. And this is a typical dish from that city or that area. See now, because of it's still enough water in the meat, and you can see it, you don't hear the sizzling. So as soon as the water starts to evaporate, you can start to eat again the seasoning. So at the point we are roasting the meat with a good flavor. Now I haven't put any salt or pepper because the sausage is already salted, and then when we put on the food processor with the cheese, so we don't have to put too much. So maybe a little bit of pepper to give a little more spark, let's say. Now we add also garlic. And as you can see, I have the garlic with oil. Why? Because when I need garlic, I don't have to crush a little bit of garlic and add it to my recipe. I always chop a few cloves. I chop it very fine, and I usually keep it on a little jar, and then I refrigerate it with vegetable oil. I say, why vegetable oil? Because vegetable oil, even if you put it in your refrigerator, it always stays loose. If you put extra virgin olive oil, first of all, it densifies, you know, and second, if you have a very good extra virgin olive oil, then the olive oil with the garlic will lose all of the flavor. So practically you ruin the oil, and then when you need it, you take out the refrigeration, it's all solid, you have to wait. So instead, if you use vegetable oil, it's always loose. Okay. Now I can start to hear the sizzling again. So that means the water evaporate, and you can see there's not any liquid left on my frying pan. You can prepare even the stuffing, let's say, the day before, and then or in the morning. You don't have to do it right when you have to make the medallion. So it can be prepared in advance. So when you have to do it, you boil the potatoes, and that's it. Okay, now the meat is ready. We'll shut it off. And I suggest to let it sit a few minutes to cool it off a little bit, because if I put on my food processor, you know, the meat is too hot, and the problem is more for the blade, because the more heat you put in, it can damage the blade, and then the blade is not cutting anymore. So the temperature, so I let it cool it off a little bit, and then we go to the food processor and we finish this nice stuffing. Okay. This. Okay, so let's remove the powder. Any questions so far on our other? Okay, now I'm going to the food processor. Okay. We get a first pot, so we add some cheese, grated cheese. A little bit of pepper, and very little salt, and the spinach. Put the egg. The part thing is nice for stimulus, but it's like a cream. But if you prefer, when you prepare this recipe and when you heat your medallion, you like to taste the meat and the texture of the meat a little bit coarser, then you go a little bit less on the food processor. Okay, now we remove everything, the stuffing. Okay. And by the time we do the gnocchi, the stuffing will cool off. And even if it's a little bit liquid, because you firm it in with the two medallion, so it's not a big problem. Okay. So we keep it here till we need it. Now let's start to prepare the gnocchi. Okay, here I already start to fry some potatoes, and the quantity of potatoes you see on my board is the quantity you have in your recipe of the gnocchi. Practically, I start with, let's say, close to 3 pounds, 2.5, 3 pounds of potatoes. Then when you cook the potatoes, remember always to cook with water. You start with cold water, no salt, okay? Because the salt, when you put salt in the water, it tends to close the pores of the skin of the potatoes. And then when the potato is hot, the humidity, the moisture of the potato with the heat wants to escape. And if the skin is closed, then they break and then they absorb water and they're too watery. You don't want to, you want to cook the potatoes and not breaking the skin. So that's
Chef, Sandra's asking, what kind of potatoes do you use?
Okay, good question. So when I make gnocchi, I have 2 potatoes, okay? 2 varieties of potato I use, either Yukon Gold or russet potato or baking potatoes, the same thing, right? So those are the 2 varieties of potatoes I use for gnocchi. And remember also to use, we say, old potatoes. Like example, in beginning of the summer, you have the new potatoes on the market. They are very good and this and that. But those potatoes have too much water, and when you cook them and you want to make gnocchi, then you have too much moist, and your dough is kind of very soft, and you have to add more flour because otherwise they stick. And then the more flour you add to your gnocchi, okay, the harder they come when you cook them. Okay, so always all the potatoes. Sorry about my hands now. Now, if you want, you can use also your gloves to do this dough, but I prefer to do with my hands, and that's why. Okay. Here we are all the potatoes, and I said that you start with 3 pounds or 2.5 pounds of potato, because when you cook the potatoes, then you peel them, you lose about 20-25% the skin and some the fat of the potato. So then you start practically with a kilo or a little bit more than 2 pounds of potato. And every kilo of potato takes about 200 to 50 grams of flour. Okay. Put 1 egg. Now this recipe with the gnocchi is just flour, egg, salt, and pepper. But if you want to flavor a little bit the gnocchi, you can add some grated cheese. You can grate some nutmeg if you want. If you don't probably with the nutmeg, if somebody's allergic to nuts, then you have a problem. So, but you can flavor any way you want. Okay. And remember, the dough of the gnocchi is a compressed dough, I call it. It's not a kneading dough when you're making pasta. You know, you're making pasta, and then you have to knead the dough, you know, till you activate the gluten, and then you have to let it rest, and then do it again. So instead, the gnocchi is more a compressed dough. When you compress the potatoes with the flour, and you don't want to activate too much the starch and the gluten of the flour, otherwise they become gluey. Instead, the gnocchi has to be soft when you cook them. Okay, see how I incorporate the flour, and then I will compress. See, if you do the gnocchi with new potatoes, by now you will have all the moist of the potato in your hand. They start, and with the flour, it becomes glue. So instead, you still want the dough to be dry, nice. Okay, then you do a little bit of flour in your hands like this, so they won't stick. Then you try to collect all the potatoes you have on the board. First time you scrape the board a little. And another suggestion, see, I have my board, the wooden board, okay, and it's just a popular finished popular plywood cut, and that is very simple. And I suggest to do the gnocchi with the board instead of to do on the counter, you know, especially if you have granite or any other stone, because the stone is cold, and if the potatoes are a little bit warm, the reaction between the cold and they create condensation. So then condensation is moist, you have to add more flour, and then the problem is that the wood, you will not do that. So because you want to create condensation. See how nice is the dough. Okay. So we have to do two recipes, right? So, okay. One for gnocchi and one for the salad. We can do the gnocchi first, and you cut in small pieces like this, and we have to roll them to a coil. Then we cut them, then we shape them.
How do you know not to add too much flour?
Say you go with your hands. When the the dough, you know, is soft and is not sticking, okay, that is when you don't want to add more. Even if it seems soft, that is enough flour and then you keep always a little bit of flour in your hands like this. And then also when you sprinkle some flour on the board, you will pick up.
How many eggs did you use again? Just one egg?
In this recipe, you know, 1 kilo potatoes, 1 egg I use. Because see, the egg yolk give me flavor and everything, but it's also moist, so it's liquid. So if I add 2 eggs, I have to put more flour. Otherwise, my dough is too soft. But then the more flour I add, and the harder they come. And the example, in the south, they prefer the gnocchi harder. Okay, so instead up north from Piemonte to Friuli, we like the gnocchi a little bit softer. So that's okay. See the then you cut it. Okay, and then if you prepare the gnocchi and you want to either freeze them, so after you shape them, you put in a tray, 1 layer, you put in your freezer, and you freeze in 1 layer, and then when they are nice and frozen individually, you can take them out and you divide in quantities for your family, for 1 portion, two portion, 3 portion, whatever, or you can put in 1 big bag and then you take whatever you need, right? So I'll do quickly and do the other one. And also the gnocchi, I will show you later, the one is boiling, and you don't have to prepare the gnocchi at the last minute like this, but if you prepare in advance and then you let it sit like that, we say they release the water, they start to become soft, and sometimes they stick to each other. So I suggest to prepare the gnocchi, and then after you shape them and any therefore you want to give, okay, then you can boil them, and you take them out, put them in a tray with a drizzling of vegetable oil, let it cool it off on the tray, and then put them together. And when with family, your guests, or when you need them, you just warm it up the gnocchi directly with your sauce on a frying pan, and you don't have to worry the last minute when your guests arrive, or have to cook the gnocchi and everybody have a good time, and you are in the kitchen cooking gnocchi, especially if you have 10, 15 people. If it's for your family, 4 people, 5 people, there's no problem, put it in and that's it.
Do you leave them as they are, or do you roll them up your fork to shape them?
Always now I cut them like this, and then I'll start to shape them, and I show what kind of shapes you want to do. The reason why you want to shape your gnocchi, not because they look good, and the only reason, or the main reason to shape the gnocchi, and it's to create some grooves, right? And these grooves or cavity help to absorb the sauce. It's a matter of what kind of sauce you're going to use, but if I cook the gnocchi like this, it will be too smooth, and then when I put the sauce over, or I saute them with my sauce, then the sauce will not stick to the gnocchi and fill the bowl. So you eat the gnocchi, and then at the end you have all the sauce on your plate. So now I will show you a couple of ways to shape the gnocchi. Okay. One easy way is your fork. If you don't have anything, any contraption, whatever you do with your fork, you press and you roll them like this. Easy, quick. And that is the way to, and see, so besides creating the grooves, you have also a cavity, so the sauce goes in, so you eat your gnocchi, and you have the taste of the sauce. Okay, so this is one. Like this. Okay, if you don't want with the fork. Now we have another, this is another tool you can buy and you can roll the gnocchi, see? The grooves are a little bit thinner. This way. This tool you find in any kitchen store, kitchen supplies, so you can find them. Or the old method, this is an old cheese grater. Okay, so and then you go like this. You press them, like this, and see the difference of the gnocchi. Actually, this is the way we were preparing gnocchi at home when I was a little kid, because this was our cheese grater, and we use it also to shape the gnocchi. And this probably is the best because there's a lot of grooves there and the cavity. Now it's up to find this cheap grater, and if you have one at home, this is a good tool to use it. Okay, now a minute we finish. The water is. Okay. You press and you roll with your tongue. And if you don't have any of these tools and you want to just do it, you can do it with your hand. You put on the palm of your hand, you press it, and you roll it. So now it's smooth on the outside, but you have the cavity in the inside. So. Okay, almost done. Okay, 1 minute. Voila. Okay, hold it in piece of. And now I'm going to cook this gnocchi so they're going to be ready. Should wash my hand first. Okay, bring back the water to boil. Tray here. Some salt, water.
Is that just regular salt?
I always use sea salt. Sea salt. I think it's sweeter, so I prefer sea salt. Okay. Okay, soon the water is boiling. We're gonna cook the gnocchi, and then, like I said before, we put in a tray with a drizzle of oil, and they're done. So now, like I was saying before, if you want to freeze them raw, you put in a tray like this, put in your freezer, and they're frozen, put in bags, and then you take it out, and then you cook them when you need it. And if you freeze them, you cook them direct from frozen from the freezer, frozen, boom, in water. The only thing you have to have always enough water, you know, because when you put it in, it's like putting ice cubes in the water. So then you drop the temperature of the water, so they sit on the bottom before the water starts to boil again and cook them. Maybe they melt, so you have a nice polenta on the bottom of your tray. So if you have instead enough water, it loses the boiling point for a minute and then or 30 seconds, and then they will start to boil and then they cook right away. Okay, so now we're going to put them in. Then you don't have to cook them all at once. You can cook a little bit at a time. Okay, even though I have a big pot here, I can cook them all at once, but I prefer to cook a little bit at a time. Then I just go and make sure they don't sit on the bottom. And then I'm waiting. When the gnocchi start to float, they're ready, they're cooked. Here we have after. This is another good tool to have, you know, when you chop something and you want to figure out what it is to help yourself or to create something. So this is very good and it's not expensive. Okay, see the gnocchi start to float. The water is boiling. And if you want, sometimes make sure the water boiling faster than the cover for 30 seconds. So the steam, it will make the water boiling a little bit faster. So. Okay. Oh, now there's a little vegetable oil, so they won't stick. Okay. We cook the other ones. Okay, the water is boiling. They should start to come up with the second batch.
Can you freeze the dough like that, or do you have to cut it up to freeze it?
No, if you freeze the dough like this, then when you take it out, you can't do anything. Either you freeze it as gnocchi individual and then you cook it, or you can cook it like this, and then you can freeze like this. Okay, but if you freeze this dough, when you take it out, separate the water will freeze, and then when the defrost, it creates too much glue. And then you have to put more flour, and you never come out of it. So I will never suggest to freeze the dough like this for any reason. See, with a gnocchi dough like that, you can also do a rotolo, you know, with ricotta and spinach. Prepare the ricotta and spinach, and then you roll down the dough like this, and you spread the ricotta and spinach, and then if you put on a cloth, let's say, then you have a cloth, and you can roll it, and you close it, and then you poach the big salami, and then you let it take it out, let it cool it out. When it's cold, then you can cut it in big dish, and then you can put it with the sauce and bake it. Okay, see the chicken gnocchi ready.
Chef, what kind of flour do you use?
This is all-purpose flour. Nothing special, you don't have to see. It's not like when you have to make bread, you need special flours, the strength of the flour, and all this. The difference between all wheat and regular flour. So when you make gnocchi, all-purpose flour was.
And is that just olive oil in the bottle?
No, this is vegetable oil. I could use extra virgin, but then if I use extra virgin, it gives me too much flavor, and then it will interfere with the sauce I want to make. Instead, the vegetable oil is neutral, right? So it's not interfere if I do saffron or if I do basil or if I do something. But this is my way to think, the way to see it. But if you really like extra virgin olive oil and you love that flavor, by all means, it's not because using extra virgin the gnocchi are not good to your taste. See, when it's a matter of taste, you know, nobody can tell you what to do, because if you are the only person who knows what you have in your mouth and that taste. If you like that taste, nobody else can tell you, oh no, that is not good. If I like it, I like it. Okay, so the gnocchi are done. Now we start to do the stuffed gnocchi. And we work it out the dough with the flour, so they are nice. Now you have to keep a little bit of flour because you don't want the dough to stick to the, because you don't want to make it too big, too thick. So when you put the second disc on top, then otherwise it becomes too much dough. See? It's a little bit thicker than a quarter inch, or close to a quarter inch, let's say. And then we have this. And depends if you want to make it bigger, smaller, right? So. When you make this disc with it, I think when you have 4 per person, it's a good portion. Then, if you only eat the medallions or the offelle, then maybe you can go even to 5 if you have only salad. But let's say this is your entree, and then you have a little bit of main course. See the leftover, you can press them again together. Let it sit a little bit because we're gonna have some extra leftover. And the other thing, either you make more discs like that, or you can make gnocchi.
So Delia is wondering, that second batch of gnocchi might overcook. But I think you've already emptied the pan, haven't you?
What do you mean overcooked?
I think she thought the second batch was still in the,
No,
yeah, it's empty.
yeah. Thank you to remind us, but we didn't take it out. Okay, keep going to the second. And now, with the quantity of potatoes you have in your recipe, which is probably a kilo of potatoes, or over 2 pounds of potatoes clean. Okay. So it will give you an idea how many gnocchi you can make. So there you have at least 5 good portions, and probably 5 portions. So you can fit 10 people. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we can do another few.
Do you mind repeating how much flour is needed per each kilogram of potatoes?
250 grams, between 230 to 250. Then depends, you know, the Yukon Gold, maybe they will absorb a little bit more flour. The russet a little bit less because they're more floury as a potato. So, but that is the amount. And then if you like the gnocchi to be harder, then you increase the flour. Okay. I hope if you do at home, you don't encounter any problem and you are at the stage where I am now. Okay, so I will grind them out. Like this. Okay, now I have a little bit of an egg, and when you beat, and when you need some egg wash, you break an egg, then you put a little bit of water, and then you beat it so to break, so that it's liquidy. Now the reason why I put the egg, so when I put one on top of the other, helps to stick together, so we create the glue. And if you don't like to put meat inside, okay, you can put ricotta and spinach. So then you can keep them vegetarian. And if you want to do the gnocchi vegan, okay, you can do the gnocchi, potatoes and flour only. You know, without the egg, you can do your gnocchi, and then
Sandra has a question.
yeah.
Do you think the gnocchi in southern Italy were traditionally harder because they were less affluent than the north and used more flour than potatoes?
Say in the south they call gnocchetti or cavatelli, you know what I mean? So and they are done with semolina and water, right? So when they start to make gnocchi, because the gnocchi is a recipe from originated from Piemonte in the north of Italy, maybe the texture for them was too soft. Oh, and then that's why they add a little bit more flour or even semolina to make it harder, because they prefer the pasta a little bit harder, right? So that's the way I think. Okay, now I put the disc on top, see? Like this. And if you have to make them to freeze, I would suggest to cook them, like the gnocchi, and then let it cool off, and then you freeze it individually. Because if you freeze the offelli, they're too thick. Okay, and then when you take them out of the freezer and they're frozen, you put in water to cook. Because they're too thick, it takes longer to cook, and they kind of break and melt. So instead, and then you press with the fork like this, the board, so it will not open. And also it gives a little bit of decoration to your medallion, see? Batch. Okay. Okay, this is single, we do half more. Okay.
So you put egg on both sides then?
Yeah. But you have flour on both sides, so it creates a little more glue. Okay, this is single, we can do it. Okay, I said this is single, and you have two ways. Either you do half a moon. Like that. Or let's see if I have a little bit of dough here. We can do a couple of gnocchi ripieni. Okay, otherwise you can also do this way. You grab one, put in your palm of your hand, put a little bit of stuffing, not too much, and then slowly you pull, try to close the gnocchi, so you make gnocchi ripieni. You close it, then with your hand, you can even roll it, and you have the stuffed gnocchi. Okay, let's finish this.
Can you just remind us for the filling, what was added to the meat besides grated cheese?
We put the egg and the spinach. So I saute, we start again. So we saute the onion first with the butter. We put the sausage meat and the ground meat. And again, if you don't like sausage, you do just ground meat. Can be veal, can be even chicken if you want. Okay, or if you don't like the meat, then you want only sausage. So you saute that, and then you go on the food processor. Then you put the egg. You put the you saute also with a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper. Then you put the egg, the grated cheese, and the spinach. Then you pause it and you add the stuff. And even if it's a little bit soft, doesn't matter, because like it goes inside the medallion, and if you press properly the board of the medallion, okay, so it will not open, will not come out.
What kind of sausage do you recommend?
It's not that I recommend. I prefer on this to use, let's say, mild sausage, sweet sausage. But again, if you prefer the one with fennel or the spicy sausage or any type of sausage there, that's fine. I put the sausage because the combination with the meat, the pork meat, and the sausage with the regular meat gives me a different flavor, right? Or probably the recipe started, they didn't have enough sausage, they didn't have enough meat, so they combined to have enough stuffing for both. Anyway, okay, now we bring back the water to a boiling point. And we start to do the sauces. They're also nice as a half a moon instead of the disc, or you make the gnocchi stuffed over the discs. 1 minute. Then the discs, we're gonna just saute them with a little bit tomato sauce, maybe a little bit butter, or if you want to put some basil, and it's plain like that. And instead, the gnocchi, we're gonna do a sauce now with the radicchio and the saffron and the cream. So we want the water really boiling because these are thick. So takes a few minutes to cook this.
What would happen if you didn't put it in the boiling water, like rolling boil?
If the water is not boiling, okay, so when you put the dish or the gnocchi, they will sit on the bottom. And if they sit and not boiling, they kind of dissolve, they break. Instead, if the water is hot enough to cook the flour, it practically holds them together. Okay. That's why if you freeze the gnocchi and then you take them from the freezer and you dump it in frozen, I suggest to have enough water for not to lose the boiling point for a long time. You know, when you put it in, sure, it's like putting ice cube, you will lose that boiling point, but only for a very, very little time.
Is there a way you put it in the boiling water? You just drop it in?
I try to go around because otherwise, if they go one on top of the other, you know what I mean? So.
So how many do you put in a pan at once?
Just put it now because I don't want to do all at once. I want to do it 2 times to show them. But it depends on how big is your pot. 5, 6, 10, 7, depends. Maybe I don't have a big pot like this. I have a smaller pot. Maybe put only 4 or 5.
Mhm.
You know, so they start to come up.
You don't need to stir it or anything, do you?
No, I stir this in the first because when you put it in, they have the tendency to sit on the bottom. So to make sure they're not really sitting there sticking, so I move them. See, now they're floating.
And so then do you take them out once they start floating or you wait a couple of minutes?
I wait till they're all up, right? Maybe they go another 10 seconds. Okay. Now they're all on top. And I said before, you can give 4, but if your dough is a little bit thicker, even 3 is a good portion. So. Okay. Half moons. This are all hard. The gnocchi, the 2 stuffed gnocchi, they're still in the bottom. Now they try to float.
And because you cooked the filling ahead of time, we don't have to worry about the filling not being cooked.
As long now, the only thing really you want to cook is the egg, because you put a raw egg on the meat, so now it is inside here. But let's say you worry about salmonella. Salmonella dies at 60 degrees Celsius. So water is boiling at 100. So when the medallions are floating, right? So inside the temperature is more than 60. So you already coagulated the egg. Oh, the gnocchi. Okay. Okay.
What's the purpose of the egg wash?
To make sure the 2 dishes stick together, because if you don't have egg wash, or you don't want to use egg wash, you can use even water, because water and flour create like say glue. They stick together. So instead of use water, we use the egg. Okay, so let's put on the side here this water. Okay, so keep it clean. Now we can do the sauce for the gnocchi. And the sauce for the gnocchi with the radicchio and saffron. So anything else to do. Okay, so the extra virgin olive oil. Here I have the red onion.
If you didn't have red onion, could you use white onion or yellow onion?
The onion here in this particular case is good to saute because it gets treated. You know, your radicchio has a tendency to be bitter, and when you buy radicchio, okay, and even for a salad or whatever you have to do, I suggest when you clean it, then you soak them in cold water and let it sit there even for half an hour, but very cold water. Okay, so what happened? The radicchio at that moment will reabsorb water, and then it will not be as bitter. You know, if you just clean it and prepare your salad, because the rapini, same thing, or broccoli or spinach. You know, the moment they pick them from the garden, the radicchio start to get dry. The same thing, the rapini, they dry. So when you clean it, you put back in water, then it will absorb the water, then the bitterness will get it. Otherwise, it's too dry, but the bitter is not going away. So, okay, saute the onion. Put the radicchio.
Is this on high heat or medium?
No, I just lower on medium because I don't want to burn. It's a very strong burner, so it's okay. The radicchio now. Now I will show you the saffron. When you buy saffron, either you buy little pouches like this, or you buy it in like a paillette like this. So if you buy this, you have to squeeze it. And if you buy it with this way, okay, it's already ground, and you have the powder in there. Okay. And every time you use saffron, I should always suggest to dissolve the saffron with either wine, if you have to do a risotto or sauce, or if you cannot have wine for any reason, you can just do water. But the reason why you want to dissolve, so see, you have all the saffron going all over because you dissolve it. If you put the powder there, then the wherever it hits, it is the radicchio will absorb that, and then a few strips of radicchio will have a lot of saffron and the other nothing, right? So
How much saffron did you put?
saffron, this is a little pouch, okay, and but otherwise, if you go like this, just go a pinch. Remember, the saffron is the most expensive spice you can find. So now this is the wine. Okay, but okay, my bowl here is still yellow color, so I put a little bit of water, cooking water, and I wanted to make sure I rinse the cup. I don't want to throw any flavor down the drain. Here on the spread. Here on this. Okay. I'll put a little bit of cream.
How much cream would you say that is?
In this here, probably 3/4 of a cup, half a cup. But again, the cream now, I put cream because we have the bitterness of the radicchio. So when you cook and you want to put ingredients together, you always have to find a contrast. If you put only cream and the potatoes are sweet, so you have all sweet in your mouth, and it's hard to detect which one is better or whatever. But if you have, let's say, the radicchio in this particular case is bitter, you have the aroma of the saffron, and the cream will tie it in with the bitterness of the radicchio and help you to season your gnocchi. So, and if you don't want to use cream because you know it's too fat, and you want to use milk, but milk, if I put it here and you cook it, it will not give me a creamy. So then, if you want to use cream, you sprinkle a little bit flour or cornstarch, and then you put the milk, so that then it is making thick like a cream, like practically do like a little bechamel. So you still make it creamier. The fat content is lower. Also, the taste is different because cream has one taste and milk, the same family, but you know, it's a little bit less. And when you saute the gnocchi, say if you make the sauce, let's say you prepare the sauce in advance. So now you have your sauce already done, you have your gnocchi ready, and you want to combine them at the last minute when your guests arrive. But if the sauce is nice and creamy, you let it sit, then it cools off and it gets thicker. So these are cold, so it takes long. So what do? You save some of the cooking water, or even regular water. If you cook this the day before and then you don't have this water or whatever, so even regular water, you have more water here. You add the gnocchi, so the water is boiling, creating the steam, warming up the gnocchi, and then absorb, and then you have the consistency of your cream the way you want it. Okay, let's put a little bit of pepper and salt.
So you're saying you can make the sauce and the gnocchi ahead of time, and then when you want to serve it to your family or your guests,
exactly,
you do it fresh.
Because especially, okay, if it's your family, you know, you sit together, whatever. But if you have a guest over, you have a friend, you want to enjoy your friend, but you have to serve them dinner. So you want to have everything prepared, organized. So are we ready? You know, can I put the frying pan? If it's a frying pan or a little pot like that. You have the sauce, you bring the sauce to a boil, you have a little bit of water, you have the gnocchi, and then it's done. The same thing if you try to have this sauce, let's say you were doing a plain tomato sauce. Okay, you do the same thing. You pour it on the sauce, put a little bit of water, put the gnocchi or the fancy.
If you didn't want to use radicchio, what other vegetables could you suggest?
If you don't want the bitterness of the radicchio, then you can do spinach. You get spinach, so it's sweeter, but then you already have the cream, and then you add a sweet vegetable. You can do with asparagus tip, it's green, you cut it a little bit sliced, and you saute them, and you have the gnocchi with a little asparagus and saffron, you know what I mean? So you can even omit the radicchio or the spinach, and just do cream and saffron. So you have yellow, you have the aroma of the saffron. And the only thing then maybe you have to add a little bit more pepper because it's too much sweet. So you have to break that sweetness, yeah. Because when you cook and you want to put together a recipe or whatever, always try to have, you know, this contrast. Why you want to create this contrast? Because when you create this contrast, it can be sweet and sour. hot and sweet, you know, or bitter and sweet. You create it, or herbs. Let's say if you want to put thyme, you put rosemary is another aroma, right? So to break and that helps to wake up your taste bud, and then you taste better. You know what it is. So, and again, never put too many herbs or too many spices or whatever, because at the end, you know, you don't taste, you don't know what it is. And I suggest always to when you put together a recipe, you should be able to taste what you put in. At the end, when you eat, oh, I can the aroma of the rosemary or the sage or this, and then you can taste it, right? Okay, so this is done now. I will not close the door.
So how do you know when that sauce is ready?
When it starts to coat the see?
The
When it
back of the
starts to
spoon.
coat the back of the spoon or whatever, so you have enough, it's ready. But then I probably have to add a little bit of water, because when I put the gnocchi will absorb right away. So you want to okay, let's put some gnocchi in. Yeah, so now the two sauces are boiling. Nice aroma. Hopefully one day they will invent the camera when people can smell what we cooked or what.
And that was just regular tomato sauce?
Yeah. And my tomato sauce is only, so when I have tomato sauce, I saute onion, garlic with olive oil, and carrot, and basil. I saute that, you know, till it's nice and translucent. And I have my tomatoes, peeled tomatoes. Usually we use only Italian tomatoes. And we add a little bit of water, because when it cooks, you know, the water evaporates, right? So, and then I break when the oil start to float on top of the sauce, that means that the sauce is cooked. Then I check if it's still watery or not to cook a little longer. Then with a whisk, I break all the tomato, and sometimes with a hand blender, I go in to make nice and.
Another question is, what kind of pans are you using?
What do you mean, what kind of pan? This one?
Yeah, is that a cast iron, non-stick?
These are not just non-stick. This is stainless steel, okay? Because actually both are good also for induction. So they have an alloy with ferrous to be used also in induction burners. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we'll really show all the sauce.
Very quick.
Yeah.
Do you remove the tomato seeds before cooking them?
Oh.
No.
Only if I have a special request, because some people cannot eat the seed because they're probably probably with the intestine, the verticulitis or whatever. So then, oh, I cannot seed or whatever. So then we make sure we pass it. But normally, but now that the tomatoes in the can don't have too much seed, they're really low on seeds. Actually,
What was that? You just added more salt?
no pepper.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, nice yellow with a red the radicchio. Now we put on the plate.
What type of tomatoes do you prefer to use?
Brand wise, first of all, I only use Italian peeled tomato. Then, example, on my other company where we do final Italian and we do the sauces, when I need tomato, I only use Mutti. Mutti, either passata or polpa, or if I need tomato paste. For on final Italian, I only use Mutti. They're a little bit more expensive than other brands, but I think that they're very good. I'm not saying they're the best, but I'm saying they're very good. You know, and there's only Mutti. On the catering here, there is another brand which is kind of high also, but because there the prices are right, but in the catering sometimes I have to compete with price and everything. I have to and we use another brand which is, like I said, higher. Anyway.
If someone was going to the grocery store and buying, or maybe the farmer's market with fresh tomatoes,
Fresh tomatoes I will only use when I want to do a quick spaghetti with fresh tomatoes.
okay.
Get the tomato very ripe, chocolate saute with garlic, basil, blah, 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 and so the problem with the tomatoes here, the acidity is quite high because the time, okay, of the moment you plant the tomatoes and then when you harvest it, sometimes it's not enough sun to transform the acid in sugars. Okay, and even though sometimes they buy 10 bushels, they put on the garage with the plywood there, and they open the garage to get the sun going in and close the garage. The tomato has to be right on the plant. You know, then the sugar is very good. So if I have to make some sauce, I buy a few cases of Italian peeled tomato, make my sauce, right? But I never made sauce with the tomatoes in Canada. I like the tomatoes to do other things, but not sauce because it's too acidic. And some people said, "Oh, put sugar." So then the sugar has to be natural, you know. Okay, so here we have the stuffed medallions of felle, and we have the gnocchi with radicchio and saffron sauce. So now with a fork, let's see if we can break one and show you the I don't know if you can see on the camera there. See the stuffing. And these are the gnocchi. And to me, at this point, I only have to say thank you again to be follow me, to stay with me, to support me for an hour and a half, or and I hope we were able to make them at home, and you are at this point. And what can I say? Say it like this: Buon appetito.
Sandra says it looks delicious.
Tastes better.
So on behalf of TDSB's Italian Heritage Committee, thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you, Johnny, for these delicious meals. You've inspired us.
Thank you. Yeah.
We look forward to taking a taste a little bit later. If you want to catch more of Johnny's wonderful menu, please catch him on Omni TV daily at 9 o'clock. He has a wonderful show called Arte della Cucina, where he takes you through a lot of
L'arte di cucinare.
di cucinare with lots and lots of recipes. Also, you can catch him on Viva Domenica on Tele Latino Network.
That used to be before l'arte di cucinare was on Tele Latino. Now they don't.
No, they don't do it. Okay, so we have to check you out on Omni TV.
Only on the Omni, yeah.
Omni.
Yes.
And we do want to say, if you have any catering, check out Culinary 2000 Studio.
You check it out, Finally Italian for ready products. You go online and we can send you our product home, delivery on your door.
What was the green herb that you used? That's a question in the chat.
This parsley, chopped parsley, just for decorating, to create the green, because the plates are white and the color, so it looks.
And Grace said she missed this part. Do we boil the stuffed pasta first?
Before putting on the sauce, yes.
Yes.
So you cook it like the gnocchi, like we cook the gnocchi, we cook also the stuffed pasta, let it cool off, and then we warm it up with the sauce, both recipes. And if you prepare the recipe, like I said, you cook it before, let it cool off, and then when you're ready, take it out, warm it up the sauce, put it in, and you can prepare them the day before. You cook it, you keep refrigerated, no problem.
Thank you again to all our viewers, and thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure doing it. Thank you. Ciao. Anyway, if you want to taste the forks and everything, if you want to take it home.
Absolutely.
Okay, forks, we have lots here.
So it's finallyitalian.com and culinary2000.com.
Yeah.
Sorry, they gave me the wrong one.
No, it was true, but
Omni, I watched very nice. So.
Viva Domenica was many years ago.
So thank you, everyone.